Jeb told me to start this, and I remember when we first started, I was asking what a podcast was, and he said it was what you did with Dale Jr. years ago. So this is podcast number 19, Jeb and Aaron's creation, and the subject matter I never know before we start. So what's the subject matter gonna be today, son?
Um, well, a couple things. We just got done doing the big veterans event. Why don't you tell everybody what went on there? We raised we raised the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation $76,000 because of a lot of good people and hardworking companies that believe in the conservation mission that the foundation is doing. And why don't you tell people a little bit about why that's important and what that money will be spent on.
Well, thank you. Well, we're obviously a conservation organization created in '96, getting ready to push 30 years here in a couple of years. But we use our resources to thank the men and women that's given so much to our country. So we have veterans events. We built an outreach facility in Brunswick County on land that was acquired through the Army Compatible Use Buffer Program, which protects military mission on bases around the countries that my foundation is a prime partner of. Anyway, we had 76 veterans come. We were expecting a little bit over 80. A few had some things come up. So we do 4 groups at one time between fishing, 3D archery, pistol shooting, and we built a 5 range where we're shooting skeet with mech throwers. And then we break out, and each station's about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we give away really nice gifts thanks to Davidson. Davidson supplied us 3 Berettas, 2 shotguns, and a pistol. And the day is just a special day. We're around true Americans that have just given so much. And all of the volunteers are past participants. So the kind of staff and volunteers we got is second to none. And then the second day is Sarah Graper's creation of a clay shoot. And that consists of 2-man teams in clay competitions on our 5 stand that obviously we're using Beretta Ultra 20 gauzes and Norma ammunition with mech skeet throwers, and we gave away some wonderful Beretta shotguns to win and raise some good money and have some good fellowships. So really, like you said, appreciate all the companies coming out to support us.
And that's really our only type of fundraisers we've ever done, besides the Crush race that we're getting really close to getting done. So excited about that. Hopefully we got more to talk about in the next coming months. With the Crush race, and the Crush race last year was a late model event that we did. Racing America covered it, and was a very successful fundraiser for the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation, and also a big event for a lot of late model stock guys. And the late model stock guys are actually going to be running North Wilkesboro this weekend, and they're going to be on Fox Sports 1. They're airing the race on TV, so that's pretty neat.
I'm surprised you're not going with your car.
Well, we've got a couple different people running our car this year, and I just don't want to have any distractions with everything else I got going on. So a lot that goes into running those cars, and you can't just show up and be good. So
that's true.
Definitely not wanting to go do that right now. But went over here to South Boston the other night. Bruce Anderson ran our car. Unfortunately, he had some bad luck and got caught up in a wreck, but our teammate Peyton Sellers won both races, and We got that program going pretty good. That's a competitive little field over there. That's South Boston for sure. But I saw the video that you did on social media. If everybody didn't see it, Dad talked about sighting in your rifle and going to the bullseye and using the clicks and doing everything you did. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that video on how to sight in your rifle. I saw Dale Jr. commenting on it and thought that was some good information that you and Aaron did. Hopefully y'all can keep up the good work and get some more content like that.
Well, Aaron, who's sitting there filming this there, I'm looking at him, figured out how to go up to the burr scope with his iPhone.
I bet it took a minute.
It took us a little bit, but he did a good job because most people don't realize you can see the crosshairs move. I don't have the best bench, and I got to build one, but you got to make the rifle stable. Once the rifle is stable, then you can very easily see the crosshairs move, and it's just the opposite of what you would think you need to do. You would think what you need to do is put the crosshairs on the bullseye. I mean, on where the bullet hole was at, and move it to the bullseye. That would be the common sense, but that's not the way the optics works. It's just the opposite. You go to the bullseye where you're wanting the bullet to go, and take the crosshairs to the bullet. And if you can make it stationary, I don't care how far away or where you are or how far off, you can have.
It's kind of weird because, like, if you're shooting to the right, you put the crosshairs on the bullseye and turn the clicks to the right.
No, you turn it to
the scope moves to the right.
Yeah, but
You're
you'll be
turning it to the left
You'll be turning it to the left
on the scope,
and the crosshairs move to the right.
Yeah.
Because when you want the bullet to go to the left, the crosshairs will go to the right.
Yeah.
So it's just the opposite, but it's a Marine sniper taught me this when I was in my late 20s. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, because there's some great outdoorsmen out there. The number one mistake outdoorsmen make, particularly shooting at big game, is not practicing with their firearm enough, because it's our responsibility to make a humane shot if you're hunting. And that's called practice. And using the right firearm, the right ammo will make a humane harvest. There's no reason to be wounding game and throwing a bunch of lead all over the place. We've outgrown that.
Actually, today, Sarah, my sister's coming into town, and we're going to practice shooting the shotgun today because tomorrow we're going to go on her first turkey hunt with
it's
her.
Not our first one.
Well, first to harvest a turkey.
There you go.
That's her first hunt. She's been on a hunt to watch, but not to actually harvest. So that's what we're going to go try to do. It's been raining for the last 2 days. The turkeys are probably pretty quiet right now. So hopefully in the morning when the rain stops, they'll be fired up and we can take her. I got Dean. He's coming down to get a couple things for me, and Dean's been a good friend, and he's going to go with us in the morning.
You got her hunting license?
Yeah, she's got a 3-day.
Got a 3-day hunting license, which is a great thing the game department did.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And she's a resident of Virginia, so it won't be very difficult to do that. And the game department's made it real easy to tag your bird and do everything now. And we'll hopefully get lucky tomorrow. I got lucky with Amanda. Amanda shot her first turkey, my girlfriend, the other week. It wasn't easy. Been hunting hard and finally found a turkey that wanted to come, and she made a good shot, and that was a pretty cool hunt. We're getting the turkey mounted for her first ever, so that's pretty neat. And but since the last time we got on here, we been doing some hunting since we were off last weekend, and then we raced Texas a couple weeks ago. Had a pretty good run there. Had a ton of people with state water heaters there. They had 60 different contractors and employees and different things at that side there, and had a pretty good car. And we're 7th in points now, so we're moving on up. We're only 6 points out of 5th, so that's pretty good. And if you give a couple of our last lap adventures back throughout the year, we'd probably already be 5th. And the guys are working really hard in the shop to make our cars better. And people probably wonder when I say that, what can you be doing? It's the little details. The little details of preparing the cars is where the next gap is. I was talking to Shane, my competition director / kind of crew chief, yesterday, and from where we first started in 2023 at these 1.5 miles, we were way off a lot of times. I mean, 0.6, I would say. Now, to run top 5 or 6, we're only at a 1/10 or 2 most of the time now. I mean, last year at Charlotte, I qualified 5th, right? And we're going back there. And in the simulator, we've been working really hard on Charlotte that I was talking about. I couldn't really run the bottom in the sim. I was too free. And now, I mean, my tongue was hanging out to run, 60s and 70s with my old setup. And now we've got it to where I'm running 40s every lap.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's better.
Y'all really done a great job. Your team has really worked hard, as you said, to close the gap on these well-funded teams with a lot of technology. Y'all definitely been overachieving.
Close.
Proud of all y'all.
Yeah, we're getting closer. So appreciate everything they're doing, and we're right there. So I just hope we can close that little bit more of a gap. We got some road courses coming up. I think that's kind of been our weak spot, to be honest, but I feel like Shane and the guys are working hard on it. So I went to the shop yesterday. Everybody's grinding. Actually poured a half of an insert for my middle back to the upper back. They cut out, the white mesh behind my back. They cut that. They cut that out, and they put a bag in there, and I sat there, and then they poured more in there. My back's been hurting me a little bit, not because of crashes or anything, just my posture.
Make it better?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Did you ever have back problems or anything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like naturally it's easy to get hunched over.
Yeah, they called it Butler Seats. His last name was Butler. He came to my shop, and these aluminum seats was made like this. And I had this void right there, and the only thing we had was a lumbar. I could pump it up and had a little lumbar support. He came up with a pan.
Yeah.
That you've got it on all the Butler seats now. We developed that at Bill Davis Freight. He developed it, not we. So all it takes is one pop rivet at the top, and you can push it forward as you want. Instead of having that, it was like this. It's just a straight pan, but you could move it forward, which may move your lower body forward, but it did away with that void. So you had something there, and that eliminated back problems.
So I had about that much of a void, I think.
Yeah, that's all it takes, because every time you use your legs, you're using your lower back muscle, and that's not what you want. You want to use your leg muscle.
My lower back has been not.
That's why it hurt.
Yeah. So the thing that's different now is when they did that, it propped me up. You know what I mean? It made me sit straight up more. So when it did that, it raised my head a little bit. So they're having to raise the insert. I mean, not the insert. They're having to raise the headrest a little bit now, because it picked my posture up 3/4 of an inch.
Do you slump down the seat as you race?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so the stuff we used to have is certainly a lot different, the material you got. So we'd slide down the seat an inch or two.
Yeah, the things they have now is this foam they dump in that I'm talking about for an insert, and it molds around. So if you're sitting in there sideways in the car, that's how it's going to mold to your body. So
Yeah, we had foam. So once that foam got hot and the suits got hot, you didn't stay in that same spot for long.
well, that's y'all
Anyway,
were definitely not as safe. I mean, if you go like the headrests and everything have just came so far from the technology that you guys had. It's just unbelievable that more of y'all didn't get more seriously injured.
well, hell, I had it made compared to the guys, the group before us. I mean,
Yeah,
there were still people getting really hurt when the way that my cars were in my days, but the group before that, the Kales and the Pearsons and Petty, all of them, I mean, how they stayed in the seat is.
I mean, a lot of times I've talked to
Wait.
people that they are driving at South Boston years ago, and they're holding the bar over here.
Oh, I can tell you one damn thing. When I got behind a guy that didn't have both hands on the steering wheel, I was going to make damn sure he put both hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So it
did
wasn't-
you ever have to do that?
Hell no.
Okay.
No, we had this little rope thing that went up under here and hooked right there to help with the G-force.
Y'all never thought about just putting a piece of padding and a thing over here, like?
Well, the seats were fiberglass, so there wasn't nothing you could bolt onto it because the seat wasn't worth a junk anyway.
Why'd y'all even wear seatbelts?
Well, the seatbelts saved you. You know what? We just learned. We didn't know. I mean, you just didn't know what you didn't know. The window nets were just little pieces of string. They wasn't wide vinyl like they are now back in them days. Anyway, the group before me, they were some tough geezers, more than my group was, but we all learned, and unfortunately it took a lot of serious injuries and fatalities for people to get really involved with better safety of how the cars were built and how the cockpit was.
Yeah, and like what I was getting to is you get when you change something in your interior department like that, I'm sitting more straight up now a little bit, and it's different, So it you got to move your steering wheel a little bit. You got to everything changes a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't take one little movement can change a lot there, right?
Yeah. And then yeah, so it's crazy how much that's changed, but getting back to the last couple of weeks, we went to an event in St. Louis. We went and saw our friends at Sprayway. What a unbelievable I mean the facility that they make thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of Sprayway bottles a day in that facility.
500,000 to 600,000, and it was really interesting to see how automation has taken that industry and so many industries to being so effective, but also the dedication of the Sprayway people was really interesting. I remember meeting this one lady that runs. They got 4 lines, assembly lines, and she runs the 3rd and 4th line. Lily was her name, and Lily really looked at the Sprayway name. That was part of her family. She took it really seriously not to have that line going down and produce what she feel like, and the company feel like they're capable of producing. And she takes it really personal. That was really cool. But to meet the leaders with Brett and Kathy and all them, what a great company. Thanks for letting me go.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They had a big thing out there for all their employees. We had a show car. We cranked the car up, and a lot of different shifts before they'd go into the factory were coming, and they were bringing their families and eating hot dogs, getting autograph pictures. It was a cool event. And then went to dinner with them, left them, and went back to the hotel. And I've got a buddy that called Jake Allen. That's his name. He does a lot for us, and he was a little bit of our chauffeur for that. And Jake's been a good friend and a good ally to us. And I appreciate him, and appreciate his boss for allowing Thomas for allowing Jake to help us sometimes. And
Which one, his wife or the other boss?
well, both of them. They both let Jake tag along with us sometimes, so appreciate that. And then we went to the hotel. We met Cody and Cody, two different Codys with Dive Bomb Industries. That was pretty cool. They gave you a pretty neat shirt
nice
there.
shirt. That
Camouflage
was
looks cool.
really interesting to see how far Cody has taken that company from the idea of some duck decoys to now that's got this beautiful cloth here and selling all kind of products. That's a great relationship. And then Cody, the marketing for Dive Bomb is a go-getter. That's going to be a great relationship.
So
building.
Excited about all that, and that was good to see some of our partners in St. Louis. And I did want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff the foundation is doing, the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation, and it's affecting, and something that I'm about to do on my property. I'm about to put a conservation easement on my property, and I think a lot of people probably don't understand that, and thought we could talk about that for a minute. And the reason I'm doing that is, like Dad has always said, to give the land a voice, and that voice is to not be turned into development, and protecting it for when I'm long gone. And you can still sell the land, you can still do timber work, you can do whatever you want to in the land. You just cannot build living quarters or residential buildings, and the land is protected. And we're lucky that where I live, there's a lot of neighboring properties that have done that. And look, everywhere you can't protect, but there are a lot of different places, and especially in this rural community, that people will buy land and chop it up and make profit on it, or they will chop it up and turn it into solar farms. And people can do whatever they want to on their own property. That's the world that we live in. But if I can do something to protect my piece of property, I'm going to do it. And I'm passionate about it. And I hate to see the solar farm stuff. I think that's something that I really don't like, and I wish our county would not allow it. To be honest, I don't think it's useful energy. I think it's a bunch of hocus pocus, and I don't agree with it. I mean, I don't agree with 600 acres being destroyed and leveled out, and just for a bunch of solar panels that are putting off radiation and all kind of stuff. And what are they going to do with those solar panels when they're done with them? You know, I mean, what are they going to do? Throw them in the ocean? So I just don't agree with a lot of different things going on with that side of things. And the foundation protects thousands of acres, so things like that do not happen. And I think a lot of people don't know that. And I thought that, one, you could explain to everybody listening the benefits and the pros and cons of a conservation easement, and then also the little bit of a story about how the foundation protected the base in Pennsylvania, Fort Indiantown Gap, from the windmill farm, and that could be a good example.
Well, so look, conservation is a compromise. It's a lot different than environmental or environmentalists. Conservation is a compromise. Halifax County, because you brought it up, has made a determination that only a certain amount of percentage in each district can be made of solar farms. So they have taken some steps.
Well, that's positive, where it was just a free-for-all.
It was never a free-for-all in Halifax. Dominion Energy and the other entities like that have been
Forced to do that stuff.
they have to have a certain amount of alternative energy.
And who makes that decision?
But remember this,
Where's that coming
I'm
from?
not sure of that.
The federal government?
I'm not sure of that.
It has to be. It's not the state doing it. It's the federal government, right?
Probably. It may be the state. I'm not sure of that. But again, we don't need to get into the details. It's a compromise. So there's some areas that are better suited for like solar than others. It is a 20-year contract that has a bond, and the bond is protecting the landowner if the solar company goes out of business, to be able to remove the solar from the property. So it is temporary. It is taking away two resources that we have, and only we have these two, which is ag and forest. It's got to be one of those two. So it definitely is affecting all wildlife in that area, but again, it's compromised, and it should only be at a certain amount of percentage.
But one thing, while you're talking about that, the reason these people do it is the solar farm companies pay these landowners. It's something astronomical. Money is the only reason they're doing it.
Money drives all development, and people have to make a living, and people take advantage of opportunities, and we're no different. People have to look after themselves and their families. It's a balance. It's a compromise.
Well, what would you say to the guy up the road that's about to destroy 250 acres? Would you say that to him?
It's not solar, and that's not temporary. So let's back up. You brought up two different things, which are two completely different things.
It's the same.
But it's not the same. Solar and a solar project is not the same of creating neighborhood and selling house lots. Once that's done, it's done forever. Solar is temporary. It's not conservation. It's a different alternative energy source that is benefiting a landowner and maybe in the county through some type of taxes. It's completely different. Conservation easement, so let's get it right. Conservation easement does not limit all development. Conservation easement is a compromise, and you're buying, and landowners benefit from restricting most but not all of their development rights. That's why the IRS recognize it on your tax return as a gift, because you're gifting part of the development rights of that property. So what you're doing, whether it's your land or anyone else's land, is you're limiting how many division rights and how many house sites or any other forms of industrial development on that piece of property.
Can you turn it into a solar farm if you have a conservation?
Once it is placed in a conservation easement, it's going. This conversation is happening right now because there's a delicate east of here that is pushing, since he had put his farm in a conservation easement, that is pushing very strongly the concept that they can put a solar farm on a piece of property after it has been enrolled in a conservation easement. Land trust in most of the country have disagreed with that. That once an easement was on a piece of property, it is a development, a commercial development in solar, other than generating solar that's used internally on the farm. You cannot put in a solar development and sell the power outside. So it's controversy going on as we speak. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
When you say, this is where I don't agree, is when you say the homes are different, what they have done in some of the pieces of property here with solar, it's no different.
This developer bought this tract of land, and he's going to sell the lots on the road frontage. The zoning of this county and most any other county does not prohibit it. I don't think a landowner should have the right to sell lots on a road that's going to completely transform the rural culture and the community. The solar is a temporary 20-year contract.
What do you think is going to happen to the 600 acres that the whole property was laid out different? Now they've leveled the whole thing out with dirt. What do you think that's going to turn into?
That project has already been done,
Yep.
yes.
And it's destroyed. They destroyed the whole property. That's what I'm trying to say is the solar is just, the only thing that you don't deal with is a human walking in and out every day. But it's horrible.
It's not good for the wildlife that were inhabited. It's not good the wildlife that was a corridor that was accessing other properties. Good, bad, or indifferent, it appears that these developments are here to stay. I don't think most of any of us like it any more than the next person. Green energy, and to produce green energy has an environmental cost to it. The natural resources are paying the price to produce green energy. Where the balance is, I'm not sure.
That's all I was trying to say is I feel like developing for a neighborhood is definitely different than the solar, but for wildlife and conservation and your eyeballs when you drive by it, it isn't what I want to see. And I would say 90% of every rural county would agree with that. Besides, the only person benefiting from those situations is one person.
There are not many people benefit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's for sure. And so, look, this is
it's a controversial conversation.
It's a worldwide
problem. Yes,
it's a worldwide conversation going on with what's creating climate change. I'm not smart enough to know, is the climate changing? I mean, nobody that's my age can deny the climate is warmer than it was. Why? I don't know if it's man-made or is it just a natural climate change like it happened years before humans even existed here. I don't know. All I know is this. Conservation is important. Protecting our natural resources is important. There is a balance and there's a compromise. We have to look after our planet. We have to look after our rural cultures. In these rural cultures like we live, that is our resource, and that is our only resource other than the people that we have. But we have to look after it, because if we destroy it, we will not exist as a species.
What about so explain to people, we've talked
Well, I don't have all the answers to all
No,
that
I know.
conversation.
But what the foundation is doing around the military bases, and use the example about what happened around Fort Indiantown Gap with the windmill project, that this base is where all the Blackhawks train, and how bad this would have been if it would have happened.
Well, it's Blackhawks, Chinooks, Cobras. It's the second busiest helicopter training facility in the country. It's in Pennsylvania near Harrisburg. The base is called Fort Indiantown Gap. They were going to put over 100 600-foot tall, each blade's 100 yards long, on top of a mountain ridge which would have.
Who is they?
It was just a developer which would have closed down 30 to 40% of the ability to train these pilots. So we, with this program, purchased the development rights. So now the community nor the military mission will be affected by the wind turbines.
And that property turned into a conservation easement?
No, that was actually a deed restriction. It was old mining ground, so conservation easement would not have worked on this area.
But it's protected.
It's protected from some developments that was not compatible to the military mission, so it really didn't qualify for a conservation easement, but it did for a deed restriction.
Well, it saved the military to be able to do what they're.
It saved the compatibility of training helicopter pilots, and it saved a lot of the particularly the visual view of the people that lived in that part of the world or traveling through part of the world. When you look at a beautiful mountain, wherever it is, and you see this towering wind turbine, not only it's a couple of things going on. They're loud. They have this hum that does never stop. And then particularly how the sun, when the blades turn, you have a flicker effect. So it's a shadow. They call it a flicker effect. It can really affect you a lot visually, and I'm not sure not mentally too, with the way that flicker works if you're near it. So I don't know. Back again, my foundation and so many other groups work hard to try to keep country. Conservation is a balance. I don't know if solar and wind turbines are part of that balance or not, but they're here to stay, and we'll try to influence and help as many landowners be successful and give their land a perpetual voice. And remember, for any landowner listening, it's financially lucrative for you to enroll in these programs. Nobody's asking you to do it for free, and that's nationwide. Some states have better programs than others, but there's all kind of means that really are beneficial to you and your family.
Yeah, and I think, so if you're riding through Pennsylvania and you don't see any damn wind turbines.
They are there. It's just not going to be on Leader Mountain.
Well, thank the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation for that. And then when I go out west hunting, when you go to Texas to deer hunt, all you see is those damn wind turbines. I mean, it's horrible. And then when you go out west to Montana, I'm sitting on the side of a mountain and the sun is setting, and all I see is these little red dots everywhere because these damn wind turbines. I'm not a fan of it, so I don't like it. I'm glad that you ended some of them. So
Well, it wasn't it was a bunch of
yeah,
weeds that
that's
did
that's
that.
fine.
And I will say this: the company, and I'm not going to mention it on here, the company that was going to produce the wind turbines, the gentleman that I dealt with and created this compromise with him was one of the nicest professional gentlemen I would ever meet. And they're in the solar wind turbine industry, but there are some really good people that want to do it right too. So look, indifferent, right or wrong, I don't have all the answers, but I do know there's some really good people out there that are trying to do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a controversial topic. I mean, look at the show Yellowstone. What was that whole show built around? It
I
was
don't know. It's kind of
oh, it's fake. Yeah, but
I never watched it.
what it was built around and why so many people loved it is the man owned thousands of acres in Montana and an airport and a ski resort with private equity money was trying to take it from him. And that's what the whole thing's about. And those stories might not be on those magnitudes, but they happen in this community. They happen everywhere, every day, because they don't make land anymore.
Well, very rarely can you do eminent domain anymore. But look, here's what happens to pieces of property. If somebody wants their property not to change, if they want it to stay natural, if they want it to stay what we consider country, you have to do something to protect it. The best tool is a conservation easement, but remember, if you just say it's going to be all right because of my family, I will tell you, this is no exception from any family. Things happen in family dynamics. Divorce, debt, death, and dumb you know what are always going to affect a piece of property. So if you want to protect your property in perpetuity, you have to do these things which stays on the deed forever. Because if you don't, it will be affected by one of those 4 Ds eventually.
Yeah. So that's why I'm doing it to mine, and I'm excited about it and want to tell people about it. I haven't got it completely done yet. It's a process that you have to do, and yeah, I mean, I just I'm trying to make that property better than when I found it. I've planted trees. I've done a lot of different things. It's just a 100-acre little tract, but I'm trying to create more wildlife habitat, and yeah, just glad that when I'm dead and gone, that property that I live on is really close to town. I got lucky, and Miss Childry, older lady, sold me the property, and I promised her when she sold me the property that I would never develop it, and this is part of my way of keeping that promise to her, and yeah, so it's pretty neat, the things that I've learned through the Ward Wildlife Foundation and being your son and learning about conservation and how to protect my little piece of land. So
Well, the good thing is Dan, our neighbor, has put his 360 acres already into a conservation easement. The Outdoor Foundation holds and monitors that easement, which means when you put your land in an easement, a land trust monitors the restrictions, which that normally is a visit once a year. Today, Google and the land imagery from the satellites are so much better than they were. A lot of times they can just do the monitoring that way, but it's awesome that once you put these restrictions on your land, it is in perpetuity. So you can really give the land a voice, and what a special feeling to give your land a voice. Appreciate you doing what you're doing. All right, let's move on to a different subject.
all right, well, that's kind of all the time we got, but appreciate everybody listening, and I thought it was cool to kind of dive into that topic. We're gonna start having some guests on here. I want to have my Uncle Brian on here to tell some stories. I think that'd be pretty cool. And we'll try
Can
to
we
have,
be drinking while Brian's on here?
yeah, maybe. So,
We'll have to tell some Brian Burton stories.
yeah, that would be pretty neat. So, appreciate everybody, and yeah, tune in and talk soon.